Hello, welcome to the self-learning platform by Dr. Sushma Singh. Today we start Unit 10 MK Gandhi and our topic is concept of Swaraj. Gandhi's concept of Swaraj was not merely confined to freeing India from the British yoke. Such freedom he desired, but he said that he did not want to exchange King log for King straw. Swaraj is not transfer of political power to the Indian, nor does it mean, as he emphasized, mere political self-determination. For him, there was no Swaraj in Europe. For him, the government movement of Swaraj involved primarily the process of releasing oneself from all the bondage one is prey to both internal and external. It involves a movement of self purification too. It is not the replacement of one type of authority by another. He felt the real Swaraj will come not by the acquisition of authority by a few, but by the acquisition of capacity by all to resist authority when abused. Swaraj, he used to say, is power of the people to determine their lot by their own efforts and shape their destiny the way they like. In other words, Swaraj is to be attained by educating the masses to a sense of their capacity to regulate and control authority. Swaraj is usually translated in English as independence. Gandhiji, however, gave this term a much deeper meaning. The word Swaraj is a sacred word, a Vedic word meaning self rule and self restraint, and not freedom from all restraint, which independence often means. He saw Swaraj as freedom for all plus self control by all. It is related to the inner strength and capacity of the people which enable them to understand and control their social world. The outward freedom that we shall attain will only be in exact proportion to the inward freedom to which we may have grown at a given moment. And if this is the correct view of freedom, our chief energy must be concentrated upon achieving reform from within. Freedom from within means control over oneself, which in turn means a life based on understanding one's own self. Gandhi perceived non-violence as the key to attain such freedom and self-control. Non-violence needs to be imbued in our thought, words, and deeds. Once non-violence as love takes possession of these dimensions of the person, then a sense of duty prevails over those of rights. We tend to do things for others without expecting returns their own. In Swaraj based on ahimsa, people need not know their rights, but it is necessary for them to know their duties. There is no duty that does not create corresponding rights, and those rights alone are genuine rights which flow from performance of duty. Swaraj is thus a basic need of all. It recognizes no race, religion, or community. Now, nor it is the monopoly of the lettered persons. Swaraj is to be for all, including the former, but empathetically including the maimed, the blind, the starving, the toiling millions. A stout hearted, honest, sane, literate man may well be the first servant of the nation. Swaraj will necessarily be inclusive of the poor and the toiling masses. Therefore, he adds, let there be no mistake as what Purna Swaraj means. It is full economic freedom for the rolling millions. It is no unholy alliance with any interest for their exploitation. Any alliance must mean their deliverance. In the same vein, Gandhiji made it very clear that India's Swaraj did not mean the rule of majority community, that is the Hindu. Every community would be at par with every other under the Swaraj constitution. Swaraj implying government based on the consent of people is not a gift which comes from above, but it is something that comes from within. Democracy, therefore, is not the exercise of the voting power, holding public office, criticizing government, nor does it mean equality, liberty, or security, though important as they all are in a democratic polity. It is when the people are able to develop their inner freedom, which is people's capacity to do, regulate, and control their desires, impulses in the light of reasons, that freedom rises from the individual and strengthens him. His Swaraj had economic, social, political, and international connotations. Economic Swaraj, as he says himself, stands for social justice. It promotes the good of all equally, including the weakest, and is indispensable for decent life. Social Swaraj centers on an equalization of status. Political Swaraj aims at enabling people to better their condition in every department of life. In the international field, Swaraj emphasized on interdependence. There is, he says, no limit to extending our services to our neighbors across state made frontiers. God never made those frontiers. Next point is on parliamentary democracy. Gandhiji did not subscribe to the view that the democracy meant the rule of the majority. He gave several definitions of democracy on several occasions. When he put them together, Gandhi may say democracy must, in essence, mean the art and science of mobilizing the entire physical, economic, and spiritual resources of all the various sections of the people in service of the common good of all. He further said true democracy or the suffrage of the masses can never come through untruthful and violent means. So, for the simple reason that the natural corollary in their use would be to remove all opposition through the suppression of extremization of the antagonists. That does not make the individual freedom. Individual freedom can have the fullest play only under a regime of unadulterated ahimsa. Democracy is a reflective and deliberative activity marking the presence of everyone. In true democracy, every man and woman is taught to think for himself or herself. How this real revolution can be brought about, I do not know, except that every reform, like charity, must begin at home. Democracy extends consideration to the viewpoint of others as it expects consideration to one's own viewpoint. The golden rule of conduct in a democracy, he said, is mutual tolerance, seeing that we will never all think alike and that we shall always see truth in fragments and from different angles of vision. Conscience is not the same thing for all, whilst therefore it is a good guide for individual conduct. Imposition of that product upon all will be an insufferable interference with everybody else's freedom of conscience. Gandhiji was wedded to adult suffrage. He felt that it is the only way to safeguard the interest of all the minorities, the poor, the Dalits, the peasants, and women. He hoped that the voters give weightage to the qualifications of the candidates, not their caste, community, or party affiliation. He wanted men of character to enter legislatures for even if they commit mistake, they would never do anything against the interest of the voter. Men and women without character elected by the people would destroy the democratic system. Referring to parliamentary democracy in 1931, Gandhiji envisaged a constitution of independent India, which will release India from all thraldom and patronage and give her, if need be, the right to sin. He laid down his vision of an independent India as follows: I shall work for an India in which the poorest shall feel that it is their country in whose making they have an effective voice, an India in which there shall be no high class and low class of people, an India in which all communities shall live in perfect harmony. There can be no room in such an India for the curse of untouchability or the curse of intoxicating drinks and drugs. Women will enjoy same rights as men, since we shall be at peace with all the rest of the world, neither exploiting nor being exploited. We shall have the smallest army imaginable, all interest not in conflict with the interest of the dumb millions will be scrupulously respected, whether foreign or indigenous. Personally, I hate distinction between foreign and indigenous. This is the India of my dreams. I shall be satisfied with nothing less. Here we want to wind up this lecture and thank you so much for your attention.